Hello, YouTube. Dan Nordman, aka the Hater Maker here. This is my first attempt ever at doing a YouTube video. I don't know how to edit anything. I've got a lot to learn. I'm just doing this shaky video on my phone. Bear with me. I will try to progress and get better as time goes on with the editing and whatnot. The purpose of this video is to talk about my new Segway Fugleman. But a little bit of background on me. Lifetime auto mechanic. Moved to St. Helen in 2017. Got into side-by-sides because that's just what we do here. St. Helen, Michigan, it's Mecca for side-by-sides. They're everywhere. We can ride them on the roads. There's hundreds, actually thousands of miles of trails all over here. A lot of big YouTube channels around here that does this stuff. I started Hater Maker Performance in St. Helen, Michigan this last year. Work on side-by-sides. I get a chance to get behind the wheel of a lot of them doing that. I've owned Polaris General, 2 Can-Am X3s, one of which I drag raced, 400 plus horsepower, big turbo, blowing up engines, all that stuff. We'll cover that on the channel. We'll cover all kinds of motorsports stuff, not just side-by-sides. That's basic overview of me and what I do here. I do a lot of high performance stuff. I do a lot of trail riding stuff, drag racing. We go through belts like crazy. This is the new turbo setup for the X3. We'll get into that in a later video. Custom Exona rotor turbo, 500 horsepower or so. Motec M130 standalone, top of the line stuff. This is what I did to my last X3 block. Building a new one. Actually going to use Sea-Doo Spark 900 Ace Rotax. It's pretty much the same engine as an X3. A lot of people don't realize that. A few differences, but we'll cover that in a later video. This video is about our new Fugleman. My wife needed a new machine. We sold her X3. We really wanted something with a bench seat. You know, got to looking into all the other utility machines. Nothing's really that sporty. They're only 80 horsepower, the Defender, Ranger, whatnot. This one's 105 horsepower. I'd never even heard of the Fugleman before I started looking around. Then I drove all the way to Florida to buy this thing because there's a few dealerships around the country that are selling these leftover 2022s super cheap. Machine MSRPs for like $16,500 or something. We paid $11,000 out the door for this thing. It was like $9,700 before taxes. The first thing, Fugleman. Super strange name till you realize what it means. It's a German military term. It means one's to instruct, the one that leads. Basically the drill sergeant. It makes a lot more sense once you know that, why they call it that. It's kind of their message to the competition. It's pretty cool, actually. 1000cc, dual overhead cam, twin cylinder. This is the X model, so it comes with some more features. The E model does not. It's got these half doors, bead locks. Comes with the hitch, comes with the receiver and the ball. Everything on this thing says Segway. Segway logo on the ball. 7-way trailer plug, but it's one I've never seen before. I think it's European or Australian. Segway super popular, Europe, Australia, Canada. They haven't taken off in the US so much. First one of these I've ever seen, really. Really nice setup. Factory parking brake cable operated. You need that to be legal in Michigan, street legal. This machine already has it, as well as the hydraulic brake. It could have better shocks, you know, that's one thing, but a Defender or a Ranger is the same way. It's just got a standard shock on it. I'd like to see an upgraded shock on the X model. I'll look into what fits it or if anybody makes anything for it. Got a bumper. The newer ones come with turn signal kit. This one you can buy it. Main Street Cycle I know sells it. It's a place out of Mississippi. They're a big Segway CF Moto dealer. They've also got a YouTube channel, Real Talk Power Sports. They talk a lot about these things. That's one of the ways I learned about them. Adrenaline Junkies, got some videos on them. dirttraxtv. I'll try to put links in the description to all this stuff, but $300. It replaces all 4 of the lights. It already has a turn signal switch in there. I'll do a topside video of all the features of that. I just wanted to get, I'm the mechanic guy, so I like to get all of this stuff. I've not seen videos of them with clutch covers off and tires off and showing everything. So that's what I'm doing here. Gonna get the turn signals for it. It's already got a horn. It's a multi-function switch up there. It's your turn signals, your horn. It's a stock right on the column, just like a car would have. Super easy to make street legal in Michigan, really. You'd only need to add a few things. I've already put these 30-inch bighorns on it. It comes with like a 27-inch imitation bighorn on the left, real bighorn on the right. I swapped these out. These are just some new takeoffs off of a Can-Am. Real beadlock wheels, though. There's the one I got to finish up yet. The clutches. The primary looks a lot like a Polaris 1000 NA clutch, which, you know, if you know, you know. They're not the greatest in the world. I guess the 2022, this model here is the only one that has these clutches. Then they went to a CV Tech clutch on this and the Villain. It's a whole different setup. Different belt, different primary, different secondary, different everything. G-Boost makes a belt for it. Gates makes a Redline belt for it. I think I'm just going to stick with these clutches. I found replacements, the same ones as these, for like $250 each online. So if one goes bad, slap another clutch on, $250, away you go. Secondary looks pretty good. It's a roller secondary. It's got a pretty aggressive engine brake on it. Like, it slows you down pretty quick when you let off the gas. Stainless bolts all over the place where you'd really want them, where bolts would seize up, like muffler shields. It's got grease zerks everywhere, but they're these funky, weird grease zerks that are like inverted. I'm going to swap them all out for standard grease zerks, but they're all over it. They're on these pivot points up here. Turn my light on here. They've got them there and all over. Pretty beefy rear sway bar. It has provisions for a front sway bar, but this didn't come with it. I'll show you that in a minute. There was a fire recall or a melting the back panel recall on these things. This is the updated exhaust. I haven't seen it get hot at all, but they added some shields. They changed the exhaust. This one has all the updates. There's your oil filter right there. Super easy to service everything. Wix makes a filter for it, so that's easy to get. It's got the electronic throttle body. Must be the one motor. Does both ports there. It's got 2 butterflies. The thing's powerful. That Main Street Cycle also has a tune for this thing. I'll try to link that video in the description. Adds 14 wheel horsepower, because Segway does run these things lean from the factory. They're like 14.5-to-1. That's pretty lean if you know tuning. I definitely wouldn't run a turbocharged engine that lean. You'd probably blow it up. But they fatten it up, add some timing, and it goes from 72 wheel horse to 86 with their tune. That's impressive on an NA machine to add 20 horsepower. And it's going to run way cooler, which is also going to help the exhaust heat issue. There was one more recall in the 2022s for ignition coils. This has the updated coils. I checked the numbers. Other than that, I'm super impressed with the way it's built. It's a 4-on-110 pattern, so common pattern to get stuff for. You just got to make sure you get 12-millimeter studs instead of 10. Go around to the front here. Big dump box on it. Again, I'll cover all that in the next video when it's off the hoist. Up front, the X model comes with a winch. We'll be replacing those when we get the turn signal kit. The A-arms look pretty stout. It's a full locking diff. You can put in 4-wheel drive or lock. Looks pretty beefy. Super easy to work on everything up here. Everything's right out in the open. Big radiator. So there's your coolant tank. There's your rack. Super easy to work on. Power steering motor. there's the thing I was talking about for the sway bar. It's definitely set up for one there and to take a link there, but it's not here. I would have taken it off anyway on an off-road machine, unless you're really cornering hard and you're only dealing with 10 inches of travel. This isn't a sport machine with 20, so you gotta want to use all that travel. So I would have taken that off anyway. Not a big deal to me. That's missing. More of those funky grease circs. I'm gonna change all those. Dual piston calipers. Everything says Segway on it, or has a Segway logo. There's a Segway logo right there. That must be who actually made the brakes. Curler. But everything looks pretty beefy. Again, stainless bolts holding that to the bumper where a bolt would snap off and you don't have access to it. The forethought of that kind of stuff is great on this thing. The headlights work good. The grill pops out pretty easy. 4 T30s looks like. You could wash your radiator out. There's the Bighorn 30s I put on there. I think these are going to work out way better than the 27s. They released a 4-door model of this 6-seater this year. It's a 2024. It already has 30s or 32s. I can't remember. A backup camera. If you get the premium, it's got 4 steel doors on it. Those are plastic. They're still pretty nice doors. They don't seal the best. I'm going to add a seal to them and build tinted hard upper windows, I think. I'm already building the back window for it there. But I think these 30s are going to work out way better. It clears no problem when you set it on the ground. You could probably put 32s on it even. Being a guy that, has driven a lot of side-by-sides, guys, I got to be honest, I'm pretty impressed with it. You're not going to mob whoops at 70 miles an hour with it. I mean, it's too short for that. It could use some upgraded shocks, but all in all, I mean, the thing will go pretty much 70 miles an hour, and it gets there right now. It's pretty nice, especially with all the features that it has on it. I mean, especially for the price that we paid for it. It's ridiculous. I've seen a few more throughout the country are like that, but Main Street Cycles, place I mentioned earlier, they're a dealer for them. They can sell you a new one. I think even that new 4-seater, it's got a backup camera and a bunch of, it already has the turn signals, everything. It would need very little to make it street legal. The MSRP, I think, is $16,900. If you know side-by-sides, that's not that much for one that's almost all the way street legal for you. It's pretty sweet looking. Segway USA, if you're out there, why don't you send me a villain? Definitely like to check that out. The villains look really cool. Me and my wife are really wanting one now that we've had this machine. It shares a lot of the same parts. The brakes, the engine, the transmission, the headlights. A lot of the stuff is the same as the villain and the same as a Snarler quad they have. I was looking up like brake pads. The quad takes the same brakes as this, and the brakes on this are nuts. Like, they'll stop you now. I couldn't imagine these brakes on a 4-wheeler. I love machines that interchange parts, and they seem to do a lot of that with these. So I would love to have a villain. I think we're going to get one. I would love to have some of those MSC parts. That tune, I think the guy that did the tune for him was Fast Tunes. I'll be getting with them. I mean, it's only $200 and it adds 14 horsepower, makes the machine run cooler. Can't go wrong there. I'm super happy with it, guys. I can't wait to do the topside video of it and show you everything. I think the E model's $2,000 less. I don't know why you'd buy it. It doesn't come with the big center display to screen. It doesn't come with the hitch, the winch, the bead locks. They've got nets for doors. I mean, $2,000, you're getting quite a bit of stuff. I did put a Super ATV windshield in it just because I wanted one quick. There's some other companies that make them. One thing I'm not impressed with at all is the skid plate. When I went to pick this thing up in Florida, it had a horrible noise. It turned out it was just the skid plate rubbing on the drive shaft. They were able to fix it pretty easily. I see they put this skid plate on upside down though, because that hole should be on the other side to match up with the drain plug. But I'm going to build a skid plate for it. Super ATV makes one, but it wouldn't be bad to build your own instead of spending $700-800 on a skid plate. Maybe I'm cheap. Maybe I'm DIY. I don't know. But it's set up. I mean, it's got threaded holes all over the place. There. You can put skid plates everywhere on the A-arms. Up through here. There's threaded holes there. All over the thing. There's threaded holes to bolt a big skid plate. But it just comes with this cheesy strip down the center. It's kind of ridiculous. Easy fix, though. I mean, any machine, if you guys have been into these, you know, Can-Am's, Polarises, everybody does something that it's like, why would you do that? And then we fix them after we buy them. But at the price point of this thing, we've been on a couple of trail rides with it. It's awesome, guys. Like, I can't really say much bad about it. The shifter's a little stiff. I'm going to lube that up. My wife had a little bit of trouble shifting it. She had to grab it with both hands when it was cold out. The starter button was wanting to freeze up on me when I got it home to Michigan. I actually swapped out my Can-Am starter button for it. I had to cut the pigtail off and swap that, but it was almost the same button. It fits right in the hole. I'll show you that topside video. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. I'll be covering a lot more on this machine. I'm going to try to do a lot more on other machines uptown at my shop, Hater Maker Performance. Try to do the weird machines, the stuff that nobody sees a lot of. You know, everybody does videos on X3s and Razors, but I'll try to do the KRXs, the Commanders, the trail machines we see a lot of. And then we'll also completely shift gears and go drag racing a 450 horse Can-Am. We'll do a lot of power sports stuff. We'll do a lot of big trail ride stuff. We've got a big trail ride coming up here. We're gonna try to bring you a lot of different content, guys. I'm gonna try to stop saying so much. That's one thing I've already noticed. I say and way too much in these videos. So something I got to work on. I've done this well without cussing so far, so that's good. But yeah, the Fugleman, the drill sergeant. Pretty awesome so far, guys. Stay tuned. Got a lot of content coming. Thank you.